Hello everyone, Mike Arend here, author of the book You're the One and the Soul Mechanic. Now I'm here on the shores of Lake Ontario near Bath, Ontario. I'm trying out my new vlogging camera, Nikon Z30 or Z30, however you want to pronounce it. This is the lake in behind me. I'll give you a better shot later. But I'm also testing out my Rode mini mic that's sitting on top of the camera with a great big windshield on it. And there is a slight breeze here, so I'm wondering how you're able to hear my voice without any of the wind blast. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, we'll walk along the shoreline here and discuss a few things. You know, there's a lot of things that bother people nowadays. And, you know, I think it's just, it was there before the pandemic, but now it's gotten even worse. I mean, people have such a short fuse. And you see it driving the car, people getting angry because there's a red light. You know, all sorts of little small things like that. People are still not talking to other family members because they have different opinions about vaccines and political views. So it's quite disturbing in my mind. And you see it on a political front as well, where, you know, a lot of politicians are angry too. They're angry with their neighbors. They're angry about any kind of trade agreements. They're angry of how things are going and what are they going to do to try to get voted in again. It doesn't appear that any of them are really very interested in serving people, which is one of the main reasons we're here on this planet, is to serve others. And in that regard, some of us get so mixed up with, you know, constantly thinking that the worst is going to happen, because you know what? A lot of bad things have been happening around the world, haven't they? So we get caught up like, well, it's just going to be the worst thing that ever happens to me. You know, so thinking about small things, they grow large. And I like to call it catastrophizing, where you always think that something, even that small thing, is going to be a catastrophe. So take, for example, somebody who's driving along a backcountry road. It's quite dark, and they hear a big bang, and they recognize it as a sound of a flat tire. So they decided, well, that's no problem. I've changed the tire before, so I can do it again. But then they get out the lug wrench and everything, and they decide that they can't find the jack. Where's the jack? I haven't got a jack. How am I going to change this tire? Well, he sees a light on in the farmhouse up the road. So he says, well, I'll just go and ask if the person up there has a jack I could borrow. But on his way there, his mind skips to the worst thing possible that could happen. What could it be? Well, what if that farmer is angry? What if he doesn't have a jack? What if he comes to the door with a shotgun and says, get off my property, I'll blast you with some shot. What are we doing here? So then he says, well, I need a jack, so I have to get the jack. Well, so reluctantly he knocks on the door. The farmer comes to the door, turns the porch light on, opens the door and says, hey, what's going on? How can I help you? And then suddenly he says, oh, you damn it, I don't need your jack anyway. And he slams the door and runs off the porch. Why? Because he thought the worst thing was going to happen. I'm just going to spin around here into the sun a little bit. I do apologize for that, but you can see we're on the shores of beautiful Lake Ontario here in Bath. So that happens to many of us, including myself. You know, you've had it happen even on small scales where you get an argument with somebody and then you think, well, I'm going to call them back, or the next time I see them, I'm going to talk to them and I'm going to give them what for, right? And then you go through this play in your mind where, yeah, I'll say this, then they'll say that, and then I'll say this again, and then they'll say that, and then I'll say this, but I'll get the last word in, and nothing will ever be resolved, right? Because we catastrophize. When, in the meantime, that person could be perfectly open to discussing it. And you know yourself when that has happened and you've actually gotten together with somebody, it was never as bad as you seemed. And that's it. It's never as bad as you think it's going to be. Because our mind is made to look for negative things to keep us safe. That's from the old caveman days where we had to watch out for saber-toothed tigers and things that were going to eat us. But nowadays, there isn't that much that is really going to kill us, is it? But that goes back to our thoughts. And the things that I like to talk about is thoughts become things. And they do. And you know they do. When you think about it, well, I would like to do that, or I'd like to apply for that job, but I'll never get it anyway. And then you apply and guess what? You don't get it. Because you already pronounced to the world, to the universe, that you're not going to get that job. And that goes on with many things, small things, and then it gets bigger and bigger. And then it ends up you thinking like, you are a failure. You are a failure in life because nothing ever turns out for you. So you end up getting depressed, giving up, not trying any longer, and think that there's something wrong with you. And then your depression deepens, that you're defective. There's something wrong with your DNA. I must have got it from my parents. You start to blame other people. Maybe you start to abuse things like alcohol and drugs just to help with the pain, to deal with the pain of it all. But none of that's going to work. And nobody can help you, really. They can lead you along a path and hopefully help you think better thoughts. But if you decide never to think better thoughts, it'll never work. It'll never work. You have to stop catastrophizing. Stop thinking the worst is going to happen with every little thing you do. So, thoughts become things, my friends. Think about that, pardon the pun. Thoughts change the way we feel. The way we feel is the way we act. The way we act gives us the results we get in our life. And there's new evidence about how we feel, our emotions, and we're emotional beings. That's what it's a curse and a blessing at the same time. So there's many new discoveries about how our feelings affect our DNA, how our emotions affect our DNA. They did experiments with vacuum tubes with fresh DNA in it from a little baby that wasn't corrupted at all by anything in society, and they found that by introducing hateful sounds and words, the DNA contracted, and vice versa. When they were talking about love, compassion, kindness, it expanded. And I'm going to do a video on this much in depth in the very near future. But I just want to touch on that. So there's evidence that physically this catastrophizing, thinking the worst, is going to eat you up. It's going to destroy you. Destroy your family. Destroy your relationships. Nobody wants to listen to you complain about everything going wrong all the time. except for maybe some others that commiserate with you, that you found that you are the same. But you have to start with changing your thoughts. Your mind is going crazy, spinning really fast, I know that. But if you could adopt a meditation practice, even a breathing practice for a moment or two, then you could possibly break that chain. And below this video is my success, life and business success hypnosis. It's 12 minutes long. Give it a try. I'm sure if you listen to that for 2 weeks, every day for 2 weeks, you will change. Your mind will change. There's no doubt about it. It worked for me, it's worked for thousands of others, and it can work for you. So, just before I sign off, I want to spin around and give you a nice little shot of this beautiful pavilion here in the park. You can see it there in behind me. It's a beautiful structure. You can come and relax by the shores of Lake Ontario here in Bath, Ontario. Until next time, take care and don't forget, you're the one. Bye for now.